2012 Mitsubishi Galant 2.4 liter single overhead cam. Just want to go briefly over the timing belt replacement. This engine was picked up from the wrecking yard. It has 100,000 miles. So with the engine being out, it's the easiest way to replace the timing belt. The kits are about $100 online. So I just want to go briefly over it. So you have to remove your tensioner, which is in this location, 2 bolts, couple idlers, your main crank pulley, and another pulley. And then of course you have the 2 covers, your top and your bottom. Okay, so I've already replaced the belt, replaced the water pump, tensioner, balancer belt, a couple idlers, here. So timing mark for the cam is going to be this guy. You're going to see the cutout in the pulley itself, and then on the valve cover, you're going to want to have that aligned. Come over here to the oil pump. It has a timing mark as well. You have an arrow, little dimple, and then that notch right there on the casting. You're going to want to have that aligned. The crank shaft is going to have another one. You can see that little dimple there, and there's that bracket or that little tag hanging off that bolt. You're going to want to have that aligned. And then you're going to have one more, which is going to be the balancer. You're going to have that white arrow, and then you're going to want to align it to that little notch right there. So the process of taking this off, I pulled these 2 bolts off the tensioner, hydraulic tensioner, remove that. Timing belt will become loose. Go ahead and remove that. Nothing will spin once it's set up. The cam might be under load, but it won't rotate. Then I'll remove this bracket right here. This bolt will have the actual timing belt tensioner bracket. Remove that guy to access the water pump. 5 bolts on here. 1, 2, 3. There's one behind here. And 4. And 5. Okay, and then you're also going to have this tube right here, the bypass tube. There's an O-ring on there. So it's going to be kind of hard to get the water pump off. Just be very careful. And I kind of pried in here a little bit on the sides, popped it off, replaced the O-ring. Put a little grease or oil on that. You're going to clean the surface in between the block and the pump. Get the whole gasket off. And I use like a Scotch-Brite pad, that red one right there, to kind of scrub the surface. Make sure it's clean. Put that on, torque it down. And remove this tensioner. You can pull this balancing belt off. Put the new one on. I just put slight pressure in between here to bring it up because it's eccentric. Tighten it down. Make sure those are in time. Once that was done, I put the bracket back on, the new pulley. This one's new. And then I put the belt. I started from this side, held it here, brought the belt down, kept tension from here, kept tension in the ribs here, underneath of the crank, back over here. Once you have all this set in without the tensioner on there, it will be somewhat tight. Put these 2 bolts, and then you're going to have a pin, a release pin that comes from the factory. Go ahead and pull that out. And this hydraulic piston is going to come up. If it's not set perfectly, don't worry about it. You can put this in a vise or a C-clamp, compress it down very slowly, and you can actually put this pin back in there if you need to do it a couple times. So now that that's done, everything was timed. I rotated it 2 or 3 revolutions, recheck time, and everything is good to go. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the covers and the pulleys. I did have to pull off the crankshaft position sensor, which is right here, and it goes right there. So I pulled that off to get the balancer belt off. While I'm at it, I'll clean it up. You can see a little bit of a metal shaving stuck to it, so we'll go ahead and clean it up and reinstall it.